We haven't really talked that much about altcoins more broadly in a very long time. And now I'm a lot more bullish on altcoins.
Same.
Based on the weird products that are now coming out that people are investing in on the public markets, there is clear appetite.
For real businesses.
These things could re-rate like 3x in the next 3 months.
This episode is brought to you by Kraken OTC. Get access to 24/7 trading services for high net worth individuals and institutional clients to execute orders over $50,000. You'll hear more about them later in the show.
Welcome back to another 1000X podcast. It has been an eventful week. A lot of stuff going on, both in the TradFi world and the crypto world. Bitcoin's trading at, we're recording this, Bitcoin has just peaked up above 107,000, which is insane because it feels like there's just not that much euphoria in the markets, and Bitcoin's like touching all-time highs. Equities are not at their all-time highs, which is another great sign. And honestly, things are just looking good across the board. I'm feeling very confident that we see, $120,000 per Bitcoin reasonably soon. I don't know. What are you thinking, Jonah?
I think so too. The only thing that worries me is like, I'm just, looking over here at my Velo dashboard. The only concerning thing is that when I look at Bitcoin funding, it's getting expensive, right? Like funding on Deribit is 40%. Funding rate on Hyperliquid, which is where all the degens trade, is 11%. This is not cheap, right? Like if you want to get levered long Bitcoin, you got to pay up, which means that a lot of people are getting levered long on the highs. Never a good sign. That said, aside from this being kind of a crowded trade and, crowded by who? Degens? Like that, the market's gotten bigger than them now. Like there's not really a whole lot to worry about. The Bitcoin has, we were talking about this before the podcast. You astutely brought up the Bitcoin has decoupled from equities. Equities are kind of languishing a bit. They're two red days in a row for the S&P, and Bitcoin's just like not quite God candles, but just solid green bars this whole time. I think we're going to push through and trade a lot higher, Avi. I really do. Okay,
let's
break
it down. So, I always like to talk about, well, why am I bullish, right? Like what's the reasoning? And then look at the data and see if the data can confirm my view. Okay, so we're trading at all-time highs. Normally it's not the best idea to go all in and buy a fuck ton of an asset when it's especially Bitcoin, when it's trading just at the all-time high. Normally you want to wait for some sort of confirmation, like a break above, and then you kind of and then you kind of chase that. Now, when I think about why Bitcoin is going up, it's not equities, right? As we discussed, it's not the fact that equities are ripping. In fact, equities are languishing a bit. So you have to say, well, yeah, okay, maybe the broader market's back a little bit, but there's this outperformance from Bitcoin, and where is it coming from? And I think there are two areas. One is this pipe, like capital markets play. We're seeing a tremendous amount of new issuance in the world of crypto, like this Nakamoto thing that just came out that David Bailey is doing. MicroStrategy continues to raise a ton of money. There are all sorts of, the SPAC that came out that Republic is running that's trying to buy a crypto asset. You're seeing Coinbase start to do very well, even in light of a hack. You're seeing real interest from the big boys come into crypto, and I don't think that can be understated. I mean, we're just seeing so much capital markets activity, which is driven not by crypto degens. This is driven by people that have experience in traditional finance, because they're seeing the interest on their side. It's like a bunch of bankers are like, holy crap, like all of our clients are asking us about this. Let's like come up with as many products as possible, right? Like that's a great way. The maturation of an industry, it's a great way to look at it is how many different types of products are there, right? Like how many different ways can I get exposure to this industry? When you look back at like the structured products boom, in the beginning, there were only a few different types of structured products. And then structured products exploded, started getting a ton of interest. And suddenly there was every type of product that you could possibly think of under the sun. And as this was growing, the entire market was ripping, right? In the structured products world. And that's kind of what we're seeing in crypto. It's like we're seeing a massive proliferation of different types of products in the traditional markets, capital market space. And that to me indicates a tremendous amount of interest. And like, why would I fade that? Like, why would I get in the way and say, oh yeah, the bankers and all the people with access to real money and real capital are thinking to themselves, let me go issue a ton of products. This is very, very different from, the type of expanse of products that we saw in 2021 or even last year in 2024, when the expanse of products was a bunch of crypto degens launching new shitcoins because they knew a bunch of people wanted to buy crypto. And so they just launched shitcoin. These are, you're preying on like a small subset of people. These products are bringing in new people and appealing to, it's like suddenly you're going to have every flavor of way to get access to crypto. You want, some convertible note that pays 8% that has capped downside, but, limits your upside. You have it now, right? So basically I'm like getting really excited because you have all these different types of things that are coming out, and that's very bullish to me.
I love excited Avi. Excited Avi is the best kind of Avi. Yes.
But do you buy that thesis that we are now in the Cambrian explosion of different types of crypto products, and therefore that's very bullish for Bitcoin?
I think you have the causality backwards, but I completely agree with everything else that you said. I think that basically what we used to call this on the trading desk at Goldman, we used to call these investor products, right? Welcome to the investor center, right? These are the sorts of things that you saw during the 2000s when there was a commodity super cycle going on. Why? Because China was like lifting 1 billion people out of poverty. And over the course of doing that, they needed to buy a lot of copper, a lot of steel, a lot of, they needed to make a lot of roads with asphalt, which is, crude oil is an input for that. They needed to buy gold and silver and all the things that go into like basically constructing, taking 1 billion people out of shacks made out of mud and putting them into like modern homes and offices and, transportation vehicles. So a super cycle is always demand driven. People often get this wrong. Sometimes there's a supply shock, like what happened in 2022 in the Ukraine with certain commodities like wheat and oil, and they say, oh, there's a super cycle going on. It's like, nope, that's a supply shock. When supply drops, that's not a super cycle. Never is. Super cycles are driven by demand, by structural demand. And so I think there is a super cycle going on, and that structural demand is manifesting itself not just in demand for IBIT and spot BTC, but also for other forms of more complex exposure that institutions want to bet on in order to outperform IBIT and spot BTC. So I think it's the super cycle, the demand-driven super cycle, driving the Cambrian explosion for investor products like the ones you just described, Avi.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think maybe I didn't articulate it correctly. What I was saying is that the Cambrian explosion of different types of products is indicative. It's like telling you that there's all this latent demand.
Yes, it's absolutely
like that's what I'm trying to say. It's like it's not in of itself because there are a bunch of products launched, then Bitcoin will go up. It's, all these people are now rushing to throw out products. There must be incredible demand that we're not seeing because we're not, like privy to these conversations. But the
we agree.
Are getting called like every day asking about crypto, and so now they're launching these products. I'm saying it's like a tell, right? It's like a
you and I completely agree. I think I just misunderstood your phrasing. It's basically these products are a manifestation of existing like demand growth, and I couldn't agree more.
And that I think that the key here is, as traders, you always have to go, well, is that priced in? Like, did we, have all the products been launched now and that demand has been met? And what I'm trying to articulate is that no, we're in the beginning. Hence the Cambrian explosion phrasing.
Yes.
Right. It's the beginning of this dynamic. which is very, very, very good for Bitcoin. So you have that, which I think is both a like bullish on a 1 month, but also bullish on a 6 month and 12-month horizon, which I think is a rare thing. And then you have the other reason, just to go back to the original, the other reason that I'm bullish is equities are stalling and Bitcoin's going up. And I think this has to do with the budget that's being pushed through Congress right now. Basically, the Republican, there's now no longer any semblance of fiscal sanity in our government. Neither the Republicans nor the Democrats have any desire to pass fiscally sane bills. I mean, you saw the Republicans tried to hold up the bill by saying this is great, like the hardliner, oh no, we need cuts to pay for this. They tried to hold up the bill and they got steamrolled.
Yeah,
like there's just no appetite for any even indication of fiscal sanity.
Would you say?
And
would you say you're so bullish
very,
you
very,
can't?
very bullish.
So bullish you can't see straight.
Well, hold on. Let me finish my rant, my last piece. And so we have all the qualitative stuff. The qualitative stuff is everything that we just discussed, and then the quantitative is a little I'm a little nervous, like short term, right? So you've got, if you look over the last 3 days, what is this?
Funding.
25,000 Bitcoin has added in open interest across all futures contracts. I mean, that's what, $3 billion?
It's not just Bitcoin, dude. Like Aave, if you pull up the OI chart on Aave,
so many people are getting levered long right now.
Yeah, every coin where there's leverage, people are getting levered up.
Makes me nervous short term. Now, what I'm hoping happens, maybe we get like a nice little flush. Maybe you get like a 10% liquidation wick. You touch 97 and then you go back up. Like I'm not advocating, I'm not advocating in any way go all in here, but I will advocate if we drop 5%, you're supposed to be buying again, right? Maybe, if you're a trader, maybe you're selling 15, 20% of your stack here and you're trying to rebuy 5-10% lower to reduce your cost basis, because you can't ignore that there is exuberance in the futures markets right now.
This episode is brought to you by Kraken OTC, one of crypto's longest running exchanges with over a decade of experience. With Kraken OTC, high net worth individuals and institutional clients get white glove 24/7 trading services for orders over $50,000. You can trade over chat or even access Kraken's self-service automated trading feature to receive executable quotes in seconds. With access to Kraken's fully personalized service, you can guarantee a secure trading experience with deep liquidity and competitive execution. To get in touch, click the link in the show notes or head on over to kraken.com/blockworks. Availability of products may vary by jurisdiction. See legal disclosures for each jurisdiction at kraken.com/legal/disclosures. Crypto trading involves risk of loss and is offered to customers through Payward Interactive. WalletConnect is the connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. If you've connected to a Web3 app, you've seen WalletConnect, an icon of trust in crypto, as recognizable as Visa at checkout. From DeFi to NFTs, swaps to staking, WalletConnect is the backbone of connectivity in the on-chain economy, seamlessly bridging wallets, apps, and blockchains. Over 250 million connections and 40 million users worldwide have trusted WalletConnect. And now, with the launch of the WalletConnect token, the network is taking the next step, paving the way for a fully decentralized, permissionless, and community-owned future of connectivity. Want to learn more? Follow at WalletConnect on X and Telegram, or visit walletconnect.network to stay ahead of what's next.
I don't think you sell anything right now. I think it feels
Jonah,
like
you
it's
never
about
think
to
you
pop.
sell anything.
I know. Well, I did.
You never, not once have you ever said sell it.
I think
anyway.
I think you can let me out of this. because we did start the podcast like in December of 2022, and it has been a pretty nice upward trek since that moment in time. If I'm still
with a lot of downs in the meantime, but yeah, you know, catch the waves.
It's been a big wave to ride. I think this is kind of the moment where you don't sell hoping for 97K. I respectfully disagree, even though this is not my forte. I think this is the moment where if you're fully invested, you just hang on. You do not apply leverage here, just based on what the funding charts are telling you. But if maybe this is like the point in the cycle where you lie to your grandma and tell her you need a little bit of help to buy a car, and take her 10 grand and stick it on Kraken and wait for that 97K pullback if it happens.
That is like way too specific. Have you done this?
No.
That's like a very specific anecdote, Jonah.
No. I've never, for the record, I read all these articles, by the way, speaking of the Coinbase hack.
You've never taken your grandmother's money and stuck it into crypto?
The crypto didn't exist when I took my grandmother's money, and I absolutely took it. I took it with both hands. But yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of the time where if you have some liquidity, you're either buying here or you're keeping it, like you're keeping dry powder ready, like in the gun, ready to pull the trigger if you get a pullback. I think and side note, I read in the Wall Street Journal that a lot of like crypto people are getting held for ransom. The Coinbase hack exposed a lot of people's balances and addresses. Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of misery and threatening going on. Be your own bank is great until the bank robbers show up, as they say. For the record, I'm broke. I need to borrow money from my grandma to trade crypto, so don't come after me. Back to the topic at hand, though. What I think is relevant here, I put this out in a tweet as well. Like when I was explaining on this podcast to people that I thought that Donald Trump would be exceptionally bullish BTC, I think the most intelligent counter argument that was, I got pushed back on was, hey, this guy's all about reducing government spending. He's talking about shrinking the government. How could you possibly be bullish Bitcoin, which is basically just an expression of M2 money supply growth in an environment where the opposite of stimulus is about to happen? Like Doge is going to slash entire departments. There's going to be less reckless spending. The Department of Defense is going to cut expenses by 8% per year. And my response to that argument was, this is all talk, right? It's actually not going to happen. They're just going to try. Markets are going to puke. Then they're going to like basically flail and capitulate. And then we're going to go back to the world of borrow, spend, print, and BTC will pump. And the reason why I've been saying that over and over is because I believe that no politician in the world today, not even Donald Trump, has the mandate or the balls to send the economy into a recession. Like we talked about this, Donald Trump wants his face on Mount Rushmore. So as soon as the market hits danger zone mode, like you can bet on a V-shaped recovery. And both you and I did. We've been very public about it. So that is exactly what's going on here. And this spending bill, like when did anybody ever think that suddenly a group of, congressmen whose incentive structure is basically like get pork barrel spending allocated to your district or lose your job? Like that's their incentive structure. In what reality would they ever stop doing that? They can talk on national television about discipline, but when it comes to their votes, they're never going to vote against more money, more federal funding, more federal handouts. So like the budget is just going to continue to unravel until either the incentive structure is changed or we get like some kind of massive political overhaul in America that's kind of hard to imagine. And Bitcoin is really your only hedge. Just to finish this rant, like basically the longer BTC outperforms stocks, the more that phenomenon becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Why? Because investors are desperate for decorrelated places to park capital. Bitcoin hasn't really been on anyone's radar, institutionally speaking, until let's say the last year. but really it wasn't investable until Trump got elected because of the previous SEC, right? So it's only really been investable for 5 months, which is like a nanosecond in terms of institutional timeframes. So I think the longer this outperformance goes on as a result of what we're seeing in Washington, the more intelligent macro investors and passive money will start to view Bitcoin as like a hedge against the scenario where the government overspends. We end up in a stimulus vortex again. The printing press goes burr, and the dollar gets devalued, and fixed income goes to shit. Like everybody, even the world's largest fixed income funds need a hedge against that. And Bitcoin may be that hedge.
100%. 100% agree with you. And hopefully this narrative picks up. I mean, we can do our best to spread it, but it is also a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? It's like, as you said, the more that it happens, the more real it becomes.
Funny.
So, it's just a virtuous cycle that way. So hopefully what's happening is that while we're ramming through massive spending through Congress, Michael Saylor is out there emptying his clips, making sure that Bitcoin is outperforming equities. That would be a very good use of capital, Michael. Just if anyone knows him, send him this podcast and let him know that we think it's a really good idea to be buying right now. You can also help out. You can also help out the levered guys that got like ridiculously levered long into this move.
Feels like everybody got levered long at like 100 to 102, around there.
Yeah, and I did know like alts, like there have been select alts that have done very well. Can we pat ourselves on the back a little bit because Syrup?
Yep.
The token that we kept talking about as, hey,
up
these guys
50% since last
really,
week.
Like just ripping it. That don't ever say that we don't give you alpha. I mean, this thing is absolutely chatting. Pendle is doing well, but not as well as Syrup. And Syrup was the one that we both said, like, this thing has a ridiculous price to earnings ratio relative to the rest of the market. So I'm very bullish. XMR also doing very well. Crime is paying. Trump coin is trading nicely. We love our little Trump coin. Trump's doing well. Crime is paying. There are going to be a lot of MSTRs for Trump coin soon, I assume.
Yes.
I have found, I know this is going to sound silly, but this is like a genuine heuristic that I use to trade and like look at assets in general. When somebody is absolutely smugly proclaiming the death or decline of any particular asset, or just boldly, like with full confidence talking about how it's gone down and it's going to go lower, that is normally a phenomenal sign to go buy. Most recently, this happened with Tesla, where
Tim Walz, yeah.
Fucking Tim Walz gets up there and he goes, when I need a little boost, I look at Tesla on my phone. It's 225 and going lower. Jonah, I want you just take a second. Can you guess what the dead low of Tesla was? Don't look at the chart. What was the absolute dead low on Tesla?
200.
He said 224 or 225 or something.
Wait, did it go down to 200 after that?
It went down to 214. It went down $10.
Wow.
You know where it's trading now? If you said $344, you would be correct.
Good thing Tim Walz is not in charge of anyone's money.
Yeah, thank the Lord. I mean, it's just such a good heuristic. When people grave dance, like you gotta get back in.
This episode is brought to you by Kraken OTC, one of crypto's longest-running exchanges with over a decade of experience. With Kraken OTC, high-net-worth individuals and institutional clients get white-glove, 24/7 trading services for orders over $50,000. You can trade over chat or even access Kraken's self-service automated trading feature to receive executable quotes in seconds. With access to Kraken's fully personalized service, you can guarantee a secure trading experience with deep liquidity and competitive execution. To get in touch, click the link in the show notes or head on over to kraken.com/blockworks. Availability of products may vary by jurisdiction. See legal disclosures for each jurisdiction at kraken.com/legal/disclosures. Crypto trading involves risk of loss and is offered to customers through Payward Interactive. WalletConnect is the connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. If you've connected to a Web3 app, you've seen WalletConnect, an icon of trust in crypto, as recognizable as Visa at checkout. From DeFi to NFTs, swaps to staking, WalletConnect is the backbone of connectivity in the on-chain economy, seamlessly bridging wallets, apps, and blockchains. Over 250 million connections and 40 million users worldwide have trusted WalletConnect. And now, with the launch of the WalletConnect token, the network is taking the next step, paving the way for a fully decentralized, permissionless, and community-owned future of connectivity. Want to learn more? Follow at WalletConnect on X and Telegram, or visit walletconnect.network to stay ahead of what's next.
And by the way, like that's why I'm reallocating to gold a little bit here. Like I sold some equities buying gold. Because I rebalanced. I've been rebalancing my portfolio a lot recently, but gold, it had that massive sell-off, down from 3,500, like almost down to 3,000. And then people were like, "All right, that's it. It's over. It's peaked. Gold bull run is done." And so I started scaling back in over the last few days, just because, I do think gold also does benefit from this. I know what you're going to say, which is just buy Bitcoin, but I like a little diversity.
No, I think you're right. And gold absolutely outperforms Bitcoin when there's a global macro freak out. And I think we could get one, right? Like, I think Israel's probably going to bomb Iran, and then their defense minister has already threatened to shut the Straits of Hormuz. That's like a stocks down 30% kind of event if the Straits get shut.
Do you genuinely? I mean, there was a leak today that Israel was considering bombing Iranian sites, and that leak came from the U.S. government. So it's pretty clear to me that the U.S. government is at least trying to stop it. There was a follow-on report that the U.S. is preparing intelligence just in case Israel does strike to aid Israeli strikes. Now, Israel has, in fact, they have bombed Iranian nuclear sites before, and it has not led to war. So,
correct.
Iran doesn't want war. Like Iran cannot survive a war with Israel. They have no air defense systems. Their partner that develops military tech, Russia, is completely tied up and absolutely cannot afford giving Iran any defense systems right now.
Yeah.
Israel has free reign over their airspace. Obviously, Israel, is a tiny country of 10 million people, and Iran, I think, is 80.
Yep.
What is the population of Iran?
About 80, if I remember correctly.
90 million.
85.
Okay, I was but whatever. And so there's no like invasion that's going to happen. There's no, boots on the ground that's going to happen. But bombing of sites, yeah, for sure.
I think. In the past, when Israel's bombed their sites, it's been like they took out that white bearded nuclear scientist with some robot machine guns, which I thought was pretty crazy. They've raided that warehouse back in 2017 or 18 and stole all of their, CD-ROM drives filled with nuclear secrets. That was also pretty cool. But this time I think they're talking about like flying, like doing a whole midair refueled raid on Fordo, taking out like basically something that's 100 meters underneath a mountain, as well as Natanz and a couple other sites. And like, if they literally just dismantled Iran's entire nuclear program and set them back 50 years, that's another level, right? The risk is there. So I'm just, while we're sitting here foaming at the mouth, bullish over, thinking of bullish outcomes, I'm just, in the spirit of scenario analysis, trying to come up with a known unknown that could potentially take markets lower. Because if Iran got seriously neutered there, they might do what animals do when they're backed into a corner, which is lash out. They haven't in the past because they haven't had any reason to. This time they might be. I'm not sure.
Okay, but let's genuinely think about this, right? So Israel's goal is to, and we can get back to like crypto and the markets in a second, but I do think this is interesting and relevant.
Yeah.
Israel wants to what? It wants to take out it wants to take out Iranian nuclear sites for the production of a weapon.
Yeah.
They are bombing. If they do attack, they're very likely only bombing uranium mines, their research reactor, or one of their enrichment plants, or their hidden stuff.
Yep.
That is not critical infrastructure. Iran currently generates a big fat 0% of its power from nuclear energy.
Yep.
And like if Israel bombs these sites, it does absolutely nothing to hurt Iran other than destroys their investment into building a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Now, either they can, they come out and say, you destroyed our efforts to build a nuclear bomb, which they've consistently said we're absolutely not doing, or Israel has just bombed like a few kind of not really important, like from Iran's public perspective, it's like, we're just trying to enrich uranium. Like we're just trying to build nuclear plants. If Israel takes them out, they do negligible damage to Iran. That's genuinely does not matter for Iranian economy or anything other than their pride.
Yep.
So it's like kind of hard for me to imagine them mounting a true all-out war response because Israel is not threatening them directly. If Israel goes a step further and attacks infrastructure that is critical for Iran, if they bomb a power plant, or if they do something which I think would be horrifically misguided, they try to incite a revolution in Iran because they're like bombing a bunch of sites and trying to disrupt, your average Iranians day to day, that would lead to war. I view that as very unlikely. I view this as like a diplomatic incident because Iran can't, what are they going to do? Respond saying, yeah, you blew up our nuclear weapons program? I mean,
what weapons? Yeah, no, it's a fair point.
Exactly.
I think you're right. I mean, look, the oil market is certainly not behaving like this is a real risk. So the way you frame it, the
oil market's up, but for different reasons, right?
It's up just because a couple of things. There's some unexpected inventory draws, so I think that surprised participants, and I think the market was, CTAs in particular were caught a little bit short on the lows. So it's corrected up 10%, which is not a huge move. It's like a nice little snapback to what ultimately is the middle of a very tight, boring, uneventful range. If there were a real threat of Iran shutting the straits, it would be pushing towards 100 in no time. It's just not. So I think your take is probably the saner, rational take of the two, scenarios that we just put on the table here. I'm not saying I believe that Israel is going to create a scenario that results in Iran shutting the Straits of Hormuz and choking off 30% of the world's oil. I'm more just trying to try and war game a scenario where something as unexpected and ridiculous as Liberation Day just nukes our crypto and our stocks. And in that scenario, gold would probably perform and Bitcoin probably wouldn't perform. So I do agree with your attempt at diversification into gold. They'll both rip in a stimulus scenario. Bitcoin will rip more, but in a macro freak out, gold will outperform everything else by a long shot. In that, I'm super confident. I think ultimately, I think you mentioned one thing about Iran there before we close the book on it. You mentioned their pride. I think that's not to be underestimated. These guys are real hardliners. I wonder out loud if they could get embarrassed like that and then just say, oh, whatever. There's just some craters. It's cool. No problem.
My main view on this is it's a non-event.
Yeah.
I hope, I'm also, obviously there's a little bit of bias. Nobody wants this to become real.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's an event that you have to pay extreme attention to if you're trading this market right now. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. I mean, I think it's your time is much better spent looking for the syrups and pendles of the world.
I got a new syrup.
And by the way,
for you.
And by the way, what did I say about WorldCoin? Did I not say you just always short it every time it goes up 20, 30%?
You
like,
did say that.
I think I mentioned specifically like 125 to 130. And guess what? It did that. And it was a great short again. Yet again, it's like guys, this thing is not going like guys. WorldCoin is not going up.
Even ETH is off the highs.
Short it every time it goes up 20 to 30%. Make money. So you're grave dancing, Avi. Sort of. People were coming at us on Twitter being like, no, everybody's going to scan their eyeballs. It's a play on OpenAI doing something with eyeballs. And, actually that is not a stupid take. It is possible that Sam Altman attempts to pull an Elon and like merge his two empires or merge two of his empires into a scenario where, you have to scan your eyeballs in order to use ChatGPT. WorldCoin's like this, like it's not an empire for him. It's a thing that might exist in the future, might not. He was just like, maybe I'll have a little bit of fun with this. The guy's way too busy programming the Terminator to be doing anything, But speaking of speaking of AI coins that aren't absolute shit, Grass has been doing well. I'm still, I'll put out an open letter to the community. I'm still trying to figure out what Grass's real revenues are. People
don't publish them because they probably suck.
No,
if the revenues were good, they would be public about it, like Hyperliquid or like I guess that's all on chain. But like when something is going well, you talk about it. When something is going poorly and people have invested in you at a multi-billion-dollar valuation, you don't talk about the bad stuff. That's what's going on. I'm skeptical of Grass. It's a great idea. Raised at a huge valuation. I think fuck all's going on, and the price chart's not that cool. It just looks like levered Bitcoin, but with basically like 1.5x levered Bitcoin with 100x the risk.
He said Grass founder, he cited mid 8-figure revenue. I don't know. That would be pretty sweet. I mean, the founder did say that. He might just be lying. But just
people lie in crypto.
I did talk to the team,
things?
and I do like general. By the way, I don't own any substantial portion of Grass. Like I think I own less than $50,000 of this thing. In total, I think I like maybe 45 or something like that, which is not a substantial amount of money. Because I do not have clear data on it yet. Like I just don't know what's true and what's not. But on the surface, it's like looks. I mean, that's why I'm kind of bringing it up on this podcast. I'm hopeful somebody else out there.
Why now? Why now and not earlier? Just because the founder came out and said something bullish, or is there?
No. Actually... This was a while ago. I've talked about Grass. I think he said that in like end of March.
No, we've talked about Grass a few times on the podcast and how it has a lot of potential. But like, why would now be the time to buy Grass after it seems to have languished in kind of a sideways trend?
It's gone. It's consolidated. If you look at the weekly, it's just broken out of a horizontal, out of a diagonal downtrend. It is like kind of in that vein of, okay, money's like people are really looking at crypto again. You're seeing revenue generating protocols do very well, like Hype and Syrup, and it kind of fits that mold. And so why am I talking about Grass again? Well, kind of because we haven't really talked that much about altcoins more broadly in a very long time. And now I'm a lot more bullish on altcoins.
Same.
Because I think that also based on the, based on the weird products that are now coming out that people are investing in on the public markets, there is clear appetite.
Yes.
For like, revenue generating products
for real businesses.
For real businesses is the way that I should say it. So I think that we're heading into a point where these things start to move very quickly, right? It's like these things could re-rate like 3x in the next 3 months.
I think I've got a 10 bagger here.
That's like that's the environment that I think that we're in right now.
Yeah, I think it's alt season again, even if it's a short-lived one. We're in alt season. The one I'm looking at is LaunchCoin. That one, I don't know if you've been paying attention to it, but basically they just launched their platform like a week ago. It's still a low FTV shitter. This one, it's the FTV is like 270 million, but basically it's like, think of it as a platform, like a pump.fun type launchpad where you can publish statistics about what you're launching and get crypto VCs to get involved, and it does all the paperwork for you. And it's basically like kind of like a Kickstarter for crypto, a more institutional launchpad than pump.fun, and supposedly users or token holders are going to get the benefits of it, unlike pump.fun where all the money goes to the founders. LaunchCoin is doing, over the last week, they earned $15 million in fees, 3.25 million in revenue. I think
What the hell, really?
Yeah, this thing, it's like,
I have not been paying attention at all.
This one came onto my radar earlier today, and I've started studying it. It's number 12 if you go on DeFi Llama and just sort by revenue. It's the number 12. Like Tether and Circle are 1 and 2. Axiom is number 3. Hyperliquid's number 4. Then Pump is number 5.
What can you explain where this thing came from?
Basically, they launched a few months ago with the promise. They launched their token a few months ago with the promise of basically building a pump.fun that allows for a more institutional experience, a more formal way to invest in early stage crypto, a way to crowdfund things, launch projects with participation from other entities other than just the project devs. Then last week, they actually launched their platform, and the token went from 20 million FTV to 270 because not only is the platform super slick and an incredible user experience, better than pump.fun, the revenues are actually like substantial, like excluding the first few days, they were earning like $4 to $5 million a day in fees just from hype, I think. And then things stabilized, and now it's earning like, it's like kind of stabilizing around $500,000 to $1 million a day in fees. The price to earnings ratio is like 4 at these levels. To me, obviously you can't annualize a few days worth of revenue data, but basically the risk went down by 99%, in my opinion, when they launched this thing. And it's like, no, it's not a rug. No, yes, the user experience is good. Yes, people are using this, and it's just rocketed on my favorite dashboard, which is the DeFi Llama revenue indicator. I like to sort by that to see what's earning money, because we're in the phase of the cycle where real businesses will perform. So, to me, I think this is one of the ones that could just melt higher. Not financial advice. This statement may age very poorly, obviously, but given that we're entering alt season again, I'm looking for these types of investments. Basically, anything below $1 billion that has a good narrative and makes money feels like it's worth a yo at this point.
Earlier in today's episode, I mentioned Ledger's latest products, the Stacks and Flex, and I wanted to take a few seconds to tell you more about them. These wallets feature the world's first secure touchscreens, which don't just simplify your digital transactions, but also keep them extremely safe. These wallets are virtually impenetrable to online attacks because they store your private key in a secure offline chip. You can manage more than 5,500 tokens and install up to 100 apps. Choose the most trusted name in hardware wallets and take control of your digital security today at ledger.com, or hit the link in the description of today's episode to check out their latest wallets.
Worth a yo. I think that encapsulates a lot of the crypto market right now.
Yeah. Virtuals is a launch pad. Virtuals traded up to a few B. Why not this one? This one actually seems to have a more interesting use case than a no-code AI agent launchpad for agents that suck, right?
It's true. It's
Anyway.
very, very true. I'm looking at virtuals right now. You know,
Virtuals feels like they're doing a friend tech. Like they're just, there's an airdrop, then there's points, then there's some other initiative to keep people from
they kind
losing
of like,
focus.
I like them because I helped us launch 1000X token,
Yeah.
which is looking pretty fucking good right now, to be honest.
Yeehaw.
Like please go give us feedback on the terminal.
Yes.
You know,
1000x.money is the address.
1000x.money is the address. Go take a look, give us feedback. Would be very welcome. I'm working on improving the liquidity very, very soon, so it should be a lot easier to buy. We can figure out how to get it off virtuals and whatnot. But yeah, like that's, you put in a lot of work. We put in a lot of work, and so I'm very excited for that, to be honest.
Me too. We want it to be the place where you don't have to leave to talk about crypto. I don't understand why financial interfaces aren't more like this. You certainly can't do it inside of an LLM like Grok or ChatGPT. You sort of have to, and the voices are wrong. Those voices are too general. The AI voices that respond to you in those terminals. When you talk about crypto, you want to talk to a trader.
Yeah, it's true. So, I mean, I think like one of the pain points that I had as a Bloomberg user for a bit is like, it was actually kind of hard to, like, you have to know what you're looking for. There's actually a very steep learning curve to Bloomberg. And unfortunately this like is true. Like you can't switch very easily. Like if you're an equities trader, you've been an equities trader for 15 years and that's all you focused on, and one day you want to explore the world of commodities on Bloomberg, those 15 years using Bloomberg for equities does not really help you that much.
Yeah.
Like obviously it helps, but like it's like doesn't help you that much.
Yeah.
You still have to find the shit that you have to fucking sift through stuff. So hopefully this is going to be a lot better user experience.
Yeah, I mean the great thing about Bloomberg is that it's just this spectacularly, incomprehensibly enormous repository of data, which is useful in markets where data is hard to collate. Like commodities is what I spent 2 decades using Bloomberg for, and equities, people get really in the weeds with their little screeners and their messages and their network and stuff. But like crypto on Bloomberg is horrendous. Like I think they have like, maybe I've been a Bloomberg user for a little while now, but like they've got what, like 10 tokens on there or something? You're on mute.
Totally horrendous. I mean, I think they have like 20, and it's like DOT and XRP.
Yeah.
And Avalanche. Fucking kill me.
Monero's on there. Exactly. Fucking kill me.
Dude, Monero, I'm so bullish on Monero. You do not understand. I'm still so bullish. I've been talking about Monero for ages, and nobody, like, I feel like I'm going crazy. Like nobody believes me, or nobody looks at it, and nobody even talks about it. But Monero is
the people who believe you don't
$6.4
talk, Avi. They're criminals. They're sitting there silently listening to the 1000X podcast.
It's a freaking $6.4 billion private Swiss bank in your pocket. I mean, this thing is worth at minimum 20 billion. Like, just my personal take, it's worth minimum 20 billion, especially because Bitcoin is so, like, Monero is now like what Bitcoin was intentionally meant to be. Like Monero is what Bitcoin was meant to be. Now,
Bullish Avi is out of his cage. Let him out.
So anyway,
oh, I love it.
So I'm like giga bullish. I'm like giga bullish Monero.
This is incredible.
I do own a decent amount. Unfortunately, bullish Avi has to call it a day. Jonah. I gotta run soon, but this was a pleasure as always.
It was great talking to you, Avi. I don't know what bullishness you're going to unleash on New York City tonight, but I hope it's riotous.
It is riotous. It will be riotous.
Yeah.
I've been going through a crazy time recently. Things are finally starting to look up. Like I'm feeling very good, very happy. So let's go unleash some bullishness.
Mazel tov. Glad to hear it, man. Great talking to you as always, and see you in a week. Actually, see you this weekend.
All right. Yeah, see you this weekend.
See you this weekend.
Take care.
Later.